You're,
Oh my goodness.
I mean, seriously.
hey, it's my first time. It's my first time.
Yeah, it's your first
Josh,
time ever on social
Josh
media.
went. He went live and a bird flew in his house. It was like that.
We on live, y'all.
Hey,
Yeah.
guys, man, I missed y'all. Devo held it down 2 weeks ago, man. I was reading the meeting notes, man. That session was fire. I went back and watched you guys, and I missed you so much. What's been going on, my professional dads? What's up? What's going on?
Hey, working.
We living that life.
Yeah,
Life
I just
be
got
lifing.
back. I just got back from flying. I'm a name drop because that's what I do, flying for Roger Penske. But I had the opportunity because that's what I fly for. But I had the opportunity. I sat in his bus and was able to talk. I interact with him all the time, but I was able to sit there and talk to him for about 45 minutes on his bus. That was an experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That's a Chapman moment right there. Did you say, hey, next time you want to let some people go, take me off the list?
That's right. I'm not on the list.
Yeah. Roger, do you know Gary Chapman? Because we do dinner together every Thursday, Country Fried Steak in Winston.
Yeah, I'm with Gary every Thursday.
Hey, folks, this is crazy. We look forward to this time when we get together, chop it up on Wednesdays, and Matt had talked to us about creating ideas for the entire year. We flesh things out amongst each other, whatnot. But it was funny. I was at the school today. Ethan was graduating, doing a fifth grade to middle school transitional thing, right? Ceremony. And text came in, guys, we were on. What are we doing? What are we doing? And Aaron's looking at me like, pay attention. I said, oh, this is the professional dad. She's like,
right. It's okay. It's just the guys.
It's work. And so we got finished, and the thing was like, what's the topic going to be? And I'm sitting here again in my feelings like transitions. We didn't talk about transitions. So, hey, tonight, indulge me. We talk about transitions. Now, I ain't talking about the transitions that's plaguing the United States right now. We ain't talking about that kind of transition. We're talking about the kind that dads go through. Again, not that kind of transition.
You didn't pick up on anything Matt and I were saying today.
No, I did, but I was not trying to go down that rabbit hole. I was reading the text message like, I'm at a suit and tie event. I'm not trying to get kicked out this event. Like, no. I was picking up what he was putting down, but I was like, no.
It's awesome.
I'm in a G-rated event right now.
But
no,
you going through it though.
Something that I really have listened to you guys talk about.
You going through it.
So right now. You guys are really the ones who kind of laying out the blueprint, because when we were talking about it, especially Matt, when you were fleshing out the theme and all the different types of categories and whatnot. I mean, you had graduation, you've had internships to go study abroad. You got a wedding coming up. Things of that. Devo, your daughter's graduating from college. We've got all kinds of things, and I felt like the caboose, and I still always kind of feel like the caboose is like, well, I just got fifth grade going to middle school, so it ain't really no big deal, but it is a big deal, and so I'm really excited about getting to listen to you guys on things that you've experienced, the type of transitions that you've had to prepare for, to be prepared for your children's transitions. So tonight we're gonna talk about transitions and see where that goes, where it takes us. And I'm looking to learn, and I'm willing to share. So the floor is open, professional dads.
Yeah, I'll jump on it real quick. This is like one of the biggest topics I think that there is, because I think in life we all go through many transitions, from the time that we're young, from the time we hit college, from the time we maybe get married, to the time, and in some cases have kids, and other cases, maybe the marriage don't work, or, there's, and then you have kids, and then your kids are transitioning and growing and all that. Maybe you have a job, then you don't have a job, right? So, I mean, I just really wrote a book that's in review right now that talks about my transitions in life. That's really what the whole thing is about, Eric. It's about, my transitions into the military, getting medically retired, all the stuff that I've been through, and it's hard sometimes. And because you think you have it all going strong, and then you get your legs taken out from under you, you know. And sometimes you think that nothing could be worse when those legs are taken out from under you. You get back on your feet, and then something takes your legs out even worse, and you're like, well, that was nothing, compared to this. And then you get back on your feet, and then something else happened. I think the biggest thing that I think about all the time that I talk about is that you have a choice, in your transitions in life, in your hard times in life. And it's a Denzel Washington. Y'all probably heard me say it. He does a graduation speech from college, and you have the choice to fall forward or fall backwards into your trauma or into your things that are happening. So transitions are big, and be able to handle those transitions. So today, your transition from elementary school to middle school, the three of us have been through it. That's no small transition, especially when you're in the moment. And so transitions are everything. And being able as dads, professional dads, to really kind of handle these transitions and make it through it, and continue on to the next transition and to the next transition. That's what we're here to support each other through. And that's what makes this podcast so special.
Yeah, true. But yeah, I mean, I think you have it with the boy, with the son. So that was a different transition for me, and Matt probably could speak to that too in Devo. Like the transition from the elementary to middle school for my daughter, completely different than me to my son. Girls mature quicker. I have my son doing that. We got puberty and girls and not girls and sports and all those things. But it's tough because that's when they start getting. Now, Eric's gonna be like, "Why are we talking about this tonight?" Like that's where they start getting like a little bit more independent. Like, hey, I don't need that. I don't need this from you. I don't need this from you, mom, dad, whatever. And it's a that was a tough transition for me. But I think as dads, that's a big transition when you're not needed. And I say that, and Matt does it. Matt's like, when the kids call, like I know they need something in a good way, and we all joke about it, but they call Tisha. But as a dad, if you're not needed, period, that does something to you. And that's another transition of like, man, what am I doing here? Am I just the bank? Am I just the ride? Am I just the connect? Am I just all those things? And it's tough. It's very, very tough to mentally process all of that.
Hey, real quick, I'm gonna flip it to Devo. That happened last night, man. I felt like getting mad, and Josh, you talked about this before. We talked about, am I not needed? We were at the swim meet, and the boys were getting prepped and everything. And mind you, I got there like an hour before the swim meet was in the thick of the sun, And all the while, Ethan keeps coming over. Where's mom? I don't know. I'm here, and grandparents and aunts and cousins and stuff, and. Just before his race, he turned around again. Dad, where's mom? I don't know. I think she's at work. I don't know. But to your point, it was almost like, hey, what about me? I'm here. Go get in the pool, But you realize just how important both play a role in your children. So as they're coming up to these life moments, major milestones, whether they're picking up the phone to call Tish or need Matt when you got to pay the bill or whatever the case is, we kind of learn our roles and whatnot. And I thought that was funny because you've said that several times that we've been together, Josh, that's happened.
It sucks, man. It's just like, what the heck? Like with my chopped liver?
Yeah. I paid rent twice this month for my daughters, man. What's up with that?
Yeah, I think my 2 cents is life is just a transition after a transition. And you're right, like it is extremely tough. And the thing about it, I think my situation was I didn't have the wherewithal to know that I was going through a transition. Like I knew some things have changed, but I thought that schooling really messed my head up, because I thought I knew everything, or I thought I knew a lot, just because I had a lot of experiences. And I think what I've come to discover now is it's two things that I think you really have to lean on, right? Because I think a lot of times as guys, as males, we don't have that strong community network. Like, um, all you know is what you know. And I know how my pops led. I know how he handled transitions, and love pops to death. But he ain't exactly emotionally centered. So that is what it is, right? And so things maybe wouldn't go according to plan or according to how I think they should go. So you have to adjust there. And then the other important thing that I wish I had a really dialed in back then was just being aligned and like making sure that you and your spouse or you and your individual or maybe you one of your parents or whoever your helpmate, whoever your go-to is, that you guys are aligned when it comes to raising kids and how you're going to navigate because it, like kids don't come with a manual, and so like you trying to figure all this out on the land, and it's extremely tough, and I was floored. Talk about not being needed. I thought I was Mandingo being the one, the Willie Mammoth, bringing home the food and building this and
Right.
paying for cars, and I'm gonna have the house paid off in 5.3 years. I'm gonna pay for all the and just thinking that you're crushing it financially, um, but knowing that your kids are getting older and they're developing their own identity.
Yep.
And like, when they tell you, oh, I'm good, I ain't got, like, I remember Aubrey in college, her freshman year, and I was like, hey, you need to be an RA. Like, Eric, how could anybody not want to be an RA, brother? Like, help me understand. Like,
Best job in
bruh,
college.
I'm like, it'll pay for your school. It'll take you to new places. It'll give you a place to live. It's gonna cut down on your expenses. Yada yada.
Yeah.
This chick tell me she want to move and go get her own apartment. Girl, that is against everything that we have taught you. Like, did you not listen the first 17 years? And so the middle one following right behind her. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna get Aubrey's apartment. She's graduating. What?
Yeah.
So this is gonna be a 7 year cycle, right? About sevens, right? We gotta break this.
Yeah.
And so yeah, like you just I don't know that you're ever ready, but I think you're in such a great spot because you can sit back and you can learn from all of our flub ups and like where
True.
we dropped the ball and where we messed up and be like, ooh, I wish I'd have thought about that. Or ooh, I wish I'd have pivot this way.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the two biggest things that I would strongly suggest. When it comes to the shifting, it's gonna be consistently. Regardless how much you try to fight it or how much you put your head in the sand, it's coming, and then the
Yeah.
more that you have godly men in your life who can speak wisdom, and then also couple that along with a spouse or a helpmate who is aligned with, and you guys have had these collaborations and planning meetings, strategic planning, how we gonna get these kids up out of this house, right?
Yeah.
So I think it all becomes very valuable and very essential.
Yeah. Let me
Yeah.
say this on that though. When are we gonna get these kids up out of this house? Well, guess what? It was real last week because we moved Lainey into her house at Chapel Hill. Go Heels. Moved Lainey, but we took her bedroom furniture out of her room, and that was odd. That was odd because
Ooh. Oh, at your house?
at my house, so her bedroom furniture
Ooh.
is gone. So you talk about a transition that Diva, I had to jump in because you said it. But now she's gone with her bedroom furniture. That's the baby right there, man. That's the
Yeah.
baby. We're true. I looked at it, I'm like, oh, we're true empty nesters now, and it's like, oh my gosh, yeah, it's just us.
Ooh.
So
Yeah.
that's a transition.
When they come back for the final
Wow.
boxes, it's real. That's for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, she's not coming back. Go ahead, Eric.
That's nah, man, but that puts in perspective because I was gonna ask you and Devon, especially because you college age and even older, I'm trying to figure out how to walk that fine line of the things that I feel like I haven't taught them yet, and just letting them be kids because I know the day's coming when they're gonna take the bedroom furniture
Yeah.
out. I think about all the time. There's not a minute in my mind that doesn't go by that I think, okay, at what point do I start talking to them about saving or checkbooks and being able to itemize expenses, or do you want this, do you need this, all that crazy stuff. But it's like, hey, they just want to go outside the yard and play.
Dad, I just want a pack of fruit snacks.
Yeah. I just want a juice box and fruit snacks.
Right. I'm just trying to go to the pantry. I don't care like how many fruit snacks I should save out this pack.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah. But the reality, like you said, like the time is coming where it's like you're going to be judged whether you want to or not on how well you prepared them for those moments. And I love listening to you all because of the stories that you share that you may not have always gotten it right. But when you see them and the decisions that they've made, and Matt, we talked about your daughters being in Italy studying abroad, man, that's a big doggone deal having your child in another country, having to navigate and whatnot. And that reflects on you and Tisha. So those things come through my mind. I love this. This is like, men's therapy, because it's like when I do want to say, okay, I need you to do the intellect, Devo, as you put it, the intellect says do this, but it's like the warm centered dad or emotionally uncentered dad needs to be able to sit back and be like, let these boys be kids, because there ain't that much time.
Well, I think you see about what they are interested in too. Like, and I've talked about before, like going to the grocery store with Hudson. Like, he's all about in that mindset of like, if we get we pay less for this one, we can get this. And I think that's what he's figured out. Like, Dad, look, like this bread is 79 cents less. And then we get to the register and he's like, you think I could get those Sour Patch Kids? I'm like, you know what? Like, we got this cheap bread because you knew you want to get these, these Sour Patch Kids up here. But I go, and we talked about it before, is like sitting back and going, but he's watching me do that, or he's being involved with me doing, whether it's that or pumping gas. Like, that's the big thing. I'm like, hey, you know how to pump gas? He's like, yeah, I watched you do it before. I'm like, okay, but like, do you know how to do it? Like, that's one of those things, Eric, you probably haven't even thought of, or maybe you have. Like, like his first time driving, when do I teach him how to pump gas? When do I teach him how to start my car? Like, hey, go warm my car up because I'm cold. You go out. You don't get cold. Like, you go do it. So, like, are you going to put it in drive and run it through the front of the house or not?
Right.
Josh, I know my sister's not listening to this right now, but she might be on the replay. What you just said made me think about something she told me. Her daughter, oh Lord, I hope she's not listening to this, got a job this summer. And she was like, told her mom, like, I don't know how to count the change back when they give me money. They never really taught them how to break a 20 and how to count change back. They're like, you've got this new opportunity experience. Yeah. And rather than, what do you mean she don't know how to do this? You got to, I was like, wow, add that to the list. Yeah. How are my kids going to know how to break 10 and break change? And when do you, that's just one example, but it's like a series of firsts that they're going to experience. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like just a little, like things that we take for granted, or some things that are small. Like, I'm gonna give you a 20 at 609 or whatever. Like, I know you're gonna give me 1391 left, and the kids in there like they just don't know. Like, what am I waiting? It's wild. Some of that little stuff that, like you said, when do you teach them? When do you run them through that?
Yeah. I don't think it's ever too early to teach them. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a part about being developmentally appropriate, right? But like, it's like we will go into to Aldi and be like, hey, here's $50. You plan out the meal for the night, right? And you got to plan it out, and it's got to make sense. And so you running cheese, or are you going to buy that great value? And those types of decisions matter. Only time you don't have a choice is whether you got to get the Charmin and you got to get the Hunt's ketchup. Like, those are two mandatory things. Everything else is open for negotiation.
The Hidden Valley Ranch, I have learned that you got to get Hidden Valley Ranch too. You can get the light, but you can't go like off-brand with the ranch, the ketchup, or the toilet paper.
Yeah, there's a few things that this is not even open for discussion.
Right.
Or Heinz Simply. Right. 3 ingredients. That's all you got. That's crazy. But Devo, you're so right with that. The thing that sticks in my mind is the developmentally appropriate. I don't get corny with the kids about the things that they gotta do and all that stuff, and I want them to accomplish. But even before the podcast, man, it's just like when we talk about the transition. Even before the podcast, don't judge me. This is what I do. I sat down and just put out, here's your daily activities. Now the school's out. This is what we're starting with, because you got swim at 8:30, and you can have breakfast after that. You got to talk.
Can you at least give them the weekend? I mean, school just got out. Monday, I know he got to read 2 hours a day, but hit him Monday with that.
Dad, I got to read.
I might walk away. I might walk away and show you their daily schedule of what they have, at least Monday through Saturday, because that's swimming 6 days a week. No, but But what I was going to tell you is that I gave them input. So,
I bet
so
you
here they're
did.
sitting there thinking like,
Yeah.
well, Dad,
I'm going to input this in your schedule and you ain't taking it off.
so they're negotiating for time. Time is the big
Right.
thing. Again, want to play with the kids. So I'm like, hey, if you want to get both of these activities done in the morning, so that gives you more time in the afternoon, by all means, do what you got to do. The bottom line is, I don't want kids in my house all day, and I want to make sure that this work gets done first. Play is icing on the cake. The work is the habit.
Yeah. Hey, I'll put it to you like this, Eric. Enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
It's a short ride.
Yep.
Real
It's
short.
a short ride. And so sit back and enjoy it. And that's the main thing that I take away from it is I look back and I think we enjoyed the ride. We really we talked about this, taking trips, doing all those things. It's like, you only get, and you're right. This is a double-edged thing. You only get them for a short time. So all these things that we're talking about is very important because you want to set the foundation. You want to know that your daughter can go to Italy and handle herself, by herself, because you've taught her how to be responsible and all these different things. And I think, setting the example, you and Aaron, setting the example that you are setting and building that strong foundation is very important. At the same time, we've talked a lot about this. Let them fall down, skin their knee, let them make the decisions along the way. And I think because I'm not in Italy with Lainey, I'm not at medical school with, Megan, I'm not down with Braden working his job now, but I can sit back and appreciate it because we laid the foundation and that foundation, and they're doing well, and I'm so proud about that, just to watch them. I used to look at Megan with her dance schedule and her dance soccer schedule. She would go to school, she would leave, she would go to dance, and she would dance from like 4 o'clock, 3:30, 4 o'clock till 9 o'clock. And then she'd have to study. Right. But what that taught her in the process is time management. That's really it. I look at Megan's time management skills of studying because she had to have all that through her dance world. She did it, and so it's things like that, the foundation laid, but man, God, just enjoy the ride, man, because one day that ride is over and you're like going, man, I'm moving my daughter's bed out for the last time and this is no fun, although she's coming home tomorrow night, but that's
I was just saying, back soon.
Hey guys,
you gotta wash clothes. Get some to eat.
we on the podcast tend to do some transitional moment with every 20 minutes, and I'm looking at the chat. There's one that's sitting in there. Shout out to Stephanie, but she said the dads grieve transitions like the empty nest. And Matt, you're talking about that with the last piece of furniture moved out the house. What was that moment like for you? I'll give my thought on empty nest because we like to pick with you, but what was that like with you?
Yeah, it really kind of hit, because, you're so used to her bed's there. She's coming home, she's coming home to she'll be here, but it really kind of hit home is that, hey, she's going into her senior year of college, and Devo, this because, you just got one out of college and moving on up there, to DC. But when your last one's moving out, it's kind of like, oh man, we are true empty nesters now. Yeah, we have been because she's been away at school and she's been doing her thing. But when it comes time to that, she's not coming back. She will not come back to live there for any significant time. She'll come back like she's going to do tomorrow night to have a doctor's appointment Friday morning to go back to Chapel Hill Friday afternoon. She's only coming home for the doctor's appointment. So, but it's still wonderful, right? Because we have a close-knit family. We're always getting together. Chapel Hill is just right down the street. Charlotte's right down the street. We're going next weekend up to DC to move Megan from one house, a townhouse into an apartment. It's constant, and that's it. You just transition. That's what I'm talking about. You transition to the next phase of life, and that's where we're at. Yeah, it's sad, but okay, wipe a tear. Let's move on.
And I'm not mad about it because that's my room now. Let's go.
Let's go.
I don't even gotta get a hotel when I come to Winston now. That's my room. Let's go.
I know
we're
Josh
still
said,
gonna-
"Hey, will you go get me some bunk beds?" And I said, "Yeah, I'll get you some bunk beds."
Yeah.
The reason why, so I can sleep in that room when Josh comes in town.
It's like,
Sound
bro,
like
sleep, but we got all this room for activities and everything. Like that's what we're doing.
Matt
But
said he's gonna put his podcast information in there so he don't have to be in their office on Wednesdays.
Right, exactly.
We're gonna turn that to the
Matt-
home lab.
we're gonna be on the video. I'll be on the top bunk. Matt's gonna be on the bottom. We're just doing it.
I did think that. I was like, I wonder if I can get away with turning this into the home office. And then, yeah, Tisha was like, "Yep, we're gonna go get a new bed in here because so it's already."
That's crazy.
But it's like even that transition there, like with like my kids. I have my kids half the time. You know, my daughter's 19, so she stays with her mom and she's working in school and all that stuff. But even like first divorced and having my kids when I had them, it's like you want all that time. Like you soak up all of that time and then they go away, right? They go back to their moms for X number of days or whatever. That lonely, weird feeling, not that it does dissipate because now I'm like, shoot, free time. Like there's stuff I can do. But there is that time when like Matt is where they're just growing up and getting older where I'm like, man, like I wish Hudson was here to see this, or I wish B was here. We could do this together. So there's always that transition of like, hey, yeah, this event is not for them, or I'm going here to do this, but you're here and it's like you're by yourself. And you know, obviously Matt and Tisha, they're like, you know, empty nesters, they still young, do them, you know, but it's like, hey, where are the kids? Like, what are they doing? So I, you know, from my perspective with that, it's like, man, are they what if they don't come back? Or where is it when Matt and I talk obviously 72 times a day, you guys know, but like when Matt and I are having that conversation when it's on my end, like, hey, I'm moving Hudson out to school and then there's nobody here, then that's a transition for me where Matt will have already been there, Devo will have already been there, and then you're coming up to like, it's just wild. The transition stuff is the daily on you said something earlier about when do you teach them. Like I was talking to a friend of mine earlier. She's grown. She has grown kids, and they're talking about. I was doing laundry yesterday or earlier today or something. I'm like, let me get Hudson's stuff over into his room, and she's like, you don't fold his clothes for him and put them away. I'm like, no. She's like, but he's 15. I'm like, I taught that boy and Bentley at 11 to wash their clothes. I'm not putting that stuff away. And she's like, like. But some parents do, which is fine. But I'm like, nah, 11, bro. This is how you use the washer. This is how you use the dryer. Like, that's on you.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not. So it's those things like that. Not that I won't help or we don't help, but it's those little things there that just help them become better teenagers, better adults, better spouses, all those things that I'm with Devo. I don't think it's ever too early to teach them those things that they're going to have to use for the rest of their life, just like we do.
Yeah.
And the other thing, go ahead. Eve.
No. I was just saying I like that idea when Joshua with the clothes.
Yeah, I totally love it. And the other thing I was going to say is a lot of times, you know, I know me in my situation with my girls, like they started tuning me out probably 8 years ago. Is what I'm thinking, because I start teaching, I start getting in that mode, and I want to have a 3-point lesson plan, and like that ain't that. Yeah, that ain't it. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times our kids learn through our models. Like we have open conversation about finances all the time. Like
Right.
our kids know that you're gonna save some money. Like it's not even like my kids got RAs now. And you're gonna put something in it. I don't care if it's a quarter, I don't care if it's $5. You know, you're gonna put something in it and watch that thing grow because you can't come back here. Too long. Too long. This dad talking. Mama got a whole nother story.
I was just about to say,
Yeah,
you know, that ain't
exactly.
Heather ain't got to.
You
come
might
on.
say that.
Hey, hold on.
But I was also going to give another.
I told her.
Yeah, I told her they got 24 hours and they got to be up out of here.
Then they got
I'm trying to squeeze on mama. But no, for real. Like
That's funny.
I think Matt brings up an interesting point. I think it's something different or hits different when you know it's your last. Like right now, like when we're going to DC, Matt, in 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
like in 2 weeks when we move our kids up to DC,
Yeah.
or relocate them in DC, I look at that kind of like as a proud moment,
Yeah.
because some of these lessons have been absorbed. I can't tell you how many kids I've seen graduate from college and then they fall right back up in mom and dad's crib. You
Yeah.
know, and so to me, I kind of look at it as okay. She picked up something, right? She's able to be self-sustained and she's able to kind of do a thing, and she know that she's gonna have to hustle because she want to have that part of your life. And granted, I don't believe in gap years, but it ain't my decision to make either. It's hers. And she told me that very quickly, just like the middle one. She's like, look, this is my decision to make. And so like like cutting that string and knowing that, now they get to make the final and they don't necessarily need you to help
Yeah.
them be financial is a blessing, man. Like that's, I think, something that should be rejoiced. But I think when it's Avery, I think it is gonna hit different, because you can't go back. But now it's 1 and 2. Hey, we partying like it's 1999, Prince, baby.
Come here, mama.
So look,
Mama.
so I
Yes,
said
sir.
different
We got one
transitions,
on the
right? Too.
payroll.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yep.
it's different transitions because it's also a good transition. Like not every transition's bad, right? Because
Right,
it's
right.
a good transition for what you just said, Diva. From what you just said, me and Tisha, it's us. It's us.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, hold on. It's like
yeah.
it's us or
Let's
Don't you do Stephanie
go.
about talking about mom's gonna veto you? No, no,
So
no,
what you're saying
no.
is I got to deal with the two kids leaving out one day and the mother-in-law because I
Yeah,
still got,
you gotta get the mother. What you doing?
I gotta kick
No, but
three
it's
people out.
good because Tisha
how
and I.
how quick can we get these tests done, boys? Like fifth grade to 12th grade? Can we skip?
Yeah, no, but it's good
I've seen
because
it happen. I've seen it happen. These little kids that they
yeah.
Right.
So lesson
Let's
learned.
just try.
Yeah.
Let's just
Lesson
try.
learned, and I've told you this. A big mistake that Tisha and I made in our marriage, I think, is that we never did anything alone. We never went on a trip alone. We never spent, time away from the kids. It was always family. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing because that's a really good thing. But I think since we have been empty nesting the last couple of years, we kind of had a chance to start over a little bit and where it's just me and her, and it's not always we're going to have the family time. We take family trips, we do all that, but we're together a lot of the time, just me and her right now. And so it's been wonderful, like getting back together in the communication and all the different things that we've been able to do together. Tonight, I mean, I went home, walked about a couple miles, and then we went and grabbed something to eat real quick. And then I came up here, so it was good.
That was enough for Tisha. That was enough for Tisha. Like, ain't it about time for your podcast?
Yeah,
It's
you
six,
got a podcast, don't you?
it's six
When you get out of
fifteen.
here, I got something I want to watch on TV.
Right.
That's what's up. That's what's
But I
up.
think it's communication too. And I know we talk about it before, like we talked about it, marriage, divorce, kids, work. Like it's just communication with the kids. Because if they understand, and I think you do a great job of that, Eric, and Matt, obviously, and Devo have done it too. I haven't done that, is just communicating with the kids. Like, hey, this is gonna be huge. Fifth grade to sixth grade, big kid, big fish, little pond, little fish, big pond. Hey, this is what's going to happen. I need you to make sure you're open communicating with me. If something happens, you're gonna go through this, and you're gonna go through this, and homework. Like not even just the life things, but the school transition from fifth to sixth is huge. But I think as long as we communicate that, and again, I didn't do a good job of that. Try to, because I was a lot like Devo. Like that horse has been dead, beaten, died, buried, picked up, and beaten again. Like that was me. But I think the communication with them, as long as you do that and they get it, it also helps us too, to be able to go, okay, I've given you all those pieces. Now you've kind of got to make that decision, but I'm here. I'm here for that transition.
Yeah. Yeah. Man,
I heard this thing the other day. It says the 222 rule, and basically that's two times two times two. Like every 2 weeks, go on a date with your wife. Every 2 months, get away for a weekend, and every 2 years, plan a week vacation. Because what you don't want to happen is everybody booked up and gone, and you look across the table and be like,
Who
"Who the
you?
hell are you?"
I don't know
And
that
who let
fool.
you in?
It's amazing to me. I
and
have so
so
many.
and so that's
Yeah,
where I messed up. I wish that, I was so focused on this career and just trying to burn it down. And Heather, I don't, like Matt said, I don't think it's a fault, but Heather's just family centered, and so her whole focus was
yeah,
on the family, and we
yeah.
slipped away for quite some time. And so, now I'm trying to take every chance I can get to,
Absolutely. Yeah.
squeeze and pinch her a little bit.
Let her know you're there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
The power of date night, man. I tell you, and it's funny because when you get into those habits, I was just with my pastor on Saturday. We were having men's breakfast, and we were really in a posture of honoring him for the things that he's imparted on us. And one thing that I shared with him when I got a chance to say how he's impacted my life is that I watch him. I watch him like a hawk, because there are things that I'm seeing in him, how he treats his wife, how he treats us as members of the church and stuff. He's consistent, man.
Yeah.
He's very consistent. And one of the things that's from his associate pastors down to members who have taken on to some of the things that he says is that we enjoy date nights and posting on Facebook and stuff. So when I first started getting into that, I was like, good, do date nights and stuff. I slipped and slacked up a little bit, got off Facebook for a while and all this other stuff. And to the point where Aaron was like, "Why don't you ever post our date night pictures? Or why don't you ever
You're
take me?"
not proud of me.
I was
You're
like,
not proud of
well,
me.
Ooh,
and
you ain't proud of me?
so I
You
was
don't love
like,
me no more?
well, I got off Facebook because it was distracting. And I didn't want to do it anymore. And this, I was listening to this one person that said, you should try to get off for a year and all that stuff. But the inconsistency is what tripped me up because she was expecting those things. And so, when you try to transition into things as far as the connections and things, you got to be consistent with those. So now it's like we look forward to date nights, and we've got an event on Saturday afternoon, but it was like, hey, we want to honor the event we've got to go to, but our 17-year anniversary is Saturday. We're gonna do us. So we're gonna do us as well. And so we won't take those things for granted, and have to do the things to stay consistent with the things you say you love. And in this case, that's my boo, that's my girl. That do it.
You boo.
my ride or die.
Exactly.
You boo.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Now that's important, man, and that's my biggest takeaway. And when I'm counseling people and talking about marriage and Braden and Riley and so they move into that phase is don't forget about each other, because you can get caught up in life so much that you can forget about each other, and that's where and it shows. You want to set that positive example for your kids. And Devo, this being a military guy, I can't believe how many of my friends that I thought were like the model couple get out of the Marine Corps, and then they're like Devo said, they're looking across the table at each other going, I don't know who you are. Nope, I don't know who you are. And then they got divorced. People I never would have thought would have gotten divorced have gotten divorced. And it's because they didn't know who each other was, in the process of being there. So you got to stay true to, that one you married, and it's not easy. And sometimes it doesn't work, and then when it doesn't work, move on and learn from, the things that went on. Josh,
And from both of y'all, that's so doggone powerful for me to hear, because and I don't think about this in terms of sitting across that table, because I do feel like I'm intentional about my marriage or whatever. But when you're thinking about all that time you're putting into your kids to help them develop and transition out, and you didn't fill in the gaps for the things that you needed to for your spouse, man, I can see where that would be a transition on the other side of I wasn't prepared for that one. I was prepared to get the kids out of the house, but I certainly wasn't prepared to go the back half
have I
of
mentioned
life.
to y'all that
Do y'all know that Matt knows Gary Chapman personally?
that I know Dr. Gary Chapman? Did I mention that? Like I will be giving this to Braden and Riley here in the next few weeks.
Well, they got a big I mean, that's a
Each
huge
of 'em.
transition.
Yeah, I will give each of them a copy. I wish I might end up trying to see if I can even show up at Thursday night dinner and ask Dr. Gary Chapman to sign them for me. But
So don't drip no Salisbury sauce on it.
Those sauce.
get some country style steak sauce on it. Oops, sorry, wipe that off. But No, because that book changed my marriage. I mean, it changed me. That's what I'm
I got three
Look,
copies.
it's like, hey, can I bring those up?
I messed up so
to Gary?
I messed up so bad I had to buy 3 copies. I was like, man, I got to read it again and
Exactly.
again.
Right.
And make sure you read the one for your kids and parenting and stuff like that. But no, it's laying that foundation, right? And so if that's a mistake I made, I didn't have that foundation in me early on in my marriage, and I want them to have that foundation, right? So it's give them the copy, And,
Hey, back to the book, Matt. If I sneak this in your hand, can you get Gary
I'll show up to
Hey,
the restaurant. I'll show up to the Thursday night restaurant with like a whole box full of.
That's what you, Eric, you missed it. We're like, don't get that Salisbury steak sauce on this one.
I got a friend that lives in Summerfield. He wants you to sign it so he can be cool. He's like, man, I got a guy who knows the guy.
Hey, we talk about him every week. We know.
Yeah.
Dude, one of these days, Matt gonna go off camera and come back on. Gary's
It's
gonna
gonna
be
be just like Gary.
Exactly.
Hey, if
That's
Matt
what's
ever
up.
asked to switch it
Hey,
to Thursday
we're in
night,
that. Go ahead,
if Matt
Josh.
ever asked to switch it to Thursday nights at 7, it's because we're gonna be at the restaurant and Gary's gonna be sitting there.
No, I might have to say 6 because if you wait too long, they sell out of the country.
Right, the Salisbury steak's gone. No.
Oh gosh.
Hey, I always wanted to ask this group whether I stick the dismount on the question because we transitioned on the back half of the podcast in the last 20 minutes. But as we're talking about transitions, if you're looking back, what would you say 1 or 2 things if you were looking back at your marriage or even just getting out of college life? Like what would you say to your child if you had that chance to say something that you learned about yourself as you transitioned into a phase that you think that your children, whether they're about to get married or they're taking on a new job, there's something that you probably need to tell them because of what you learned, and it's a one thing you need to share with them.
That first because
Get it in.
Go back to this right here. Like I've told y'all the story is I read that I'm on the way to Afghanistan in 2001 to go fight the war. And I read the 5 Love Languages and the Notebook. And I think that the thing that I used to always think is that, you know what, I can change my wife. I can calm her down because I'm such a calm person. She's more type A, a little bit, more high strung or whatever you want to call it. I'm on the low end. And I used to think, well, I'll change. I can calm her down. But she thought the same thing. She'll tell you the same thing. She thought, well, I can rev Matt up. I can get him more intense, right? So I think we both early in our relationship and, the first part of our marriage, we thought we could mold each other into what we wanted each other to be. Instead, I read Acts of Service and I'm like, wait a minute. The reason why this woman gets mad at me is because all she wants me to do is help her keep the house clean, help her with the kids. And if I can do acts of service, then it'll help make her happier and it'll make her life happy. So I didn't understand that. The first, we got married in 95. I'm going on the way to Afghanistan in 2006. I didn't understand that the first 6 years of our marriage, and even we were together 3.5 years in college, So don't think that you're going to change the person. Love that person for who they are, right? Love them for who they are and learn how to communicate about it because you're not going to change. I'm sorry. They're not going to change and don't try to change each other. And I think that that's like the biggest thing that I learned. And it took me 6 years of our marriage to learn that. And it took me reading that book on the way to, fight a war in 2001 to go, oh, that's it. That's how I answer her needs and stuff. And, she's different now. Hers is quality time now, more so of quality time. And again, think about that. Quality time. So our kids have transitioned away. So she's about, can we get that quality time to spend time with them? Not quality time necessarily with me.
I'm trying to watch my show. Go do your podcast.
Yeah, go do your podcast. I got this show I want to watch. But we know how to communicate. Yeah, that's really.
I would say.
I was going to say,
ahead,
just real quick, just one statement, then I'll let you jump in, Josh. I'm glad you got 3 copies because 7 years into our marriage, the first 7 years, her love language was physical touch. Now it's acts of service. So I would highly suggest you reread that book every 7 years at least, because that is a living, breathing document that
Yeah,
It's
constantly
fluid.
yeah,
evolving,
It
it's
is
a
fluid,
fluid
baby.
content.
very fluid, like a damn river.
I done lost my whole
Words of
train of thought.
affirmation.
You got some notes in there.
I'm looking. I'm like
Yeah.
words of
Hey,
affirmation. Now, on a real talk,
you better take that assessment,
while
brother.
Josh is figuring out what he wants to say, like I do feel that has been not recognizing it. Literally is coming from the book, but not recognizing it. But Erin's in a season right now where she's finished her coursework for her doctorate. She's done, and she's now at the stage where she needs to defend the proposal. And like, we got to get this thing cranked out. We got to get her across the stage because just got to get this thing done. And just a lot of pressure that she's under. She's just bad boss. I mean, she's just somebody that I wish I could be, to be honest with you, in terms of how she works. But here recently, I feel like I have been the one pouring in and pouring like, hey, this is the time in the stretch where you got to be selfish. You got to still keep things going, keep the lights on, if you will, work wise, but you got to be selfish because you're so close. It's not like you just started, take a bunch of classes and then weigh the odds. Do I want to stay? Do I want to go? You're done. It's like, right, get it done, go across that stage. And so I've tried to kind of have that balance between, hey, if it's fear, let's talk through it. I was there. Well, I didn't feel like writing, but I had to. If it's fear, let's talk about it. But the words of affirmation part is coming in strong because it's like, hey, I love you if you don't want to do it. No sweat. Still boss to me. Let's go. But I still feel like there's more, just got to get it done. I've even tried to recruit other women who have finished recently to just, pour into, make a phone call, text, send a word of encouragement. Cause there's just this thing that I've got in me that I see sometimes things in her that she don't see in herself. And so it's just kind of like pouring, and then step back and say, hey, how do you receive this? Am I just saying it just to hear myself talk? Or are you really receiving what I'm saying to you? And then if you are, where is it landing? Because I want to get you close to the finish line, not for me, but for us, because it's a heart win and not just her win. It's a family win.
And we can see you and we can go, doctor.
I play a doctor on TV.
Hey, but I would.
play a doctor on the internet.
I stayed at a Red Roof Inn last night, right?
No, I'm a hotel snob. I ain't staying at no Red Roof. No.
I just had somebody else start paying for my hotel room, so that's just changed. I've finally become a Hilton member. But
There you go.
I digress. Hey, I do want to, and you know what? That's something that you guys are going to have to work on. But be careful, because that's a real slippery slope. Because I know a lot of times I try to push Heather into certain things, and sometimes I create an adverse effect of what I would like to see. So again, I would use those I statements. Here's where I would like for you to win, but how can I come alongside and support you, and what would that look like? Just because you got your, and I used to always say, well, I'm Dr. Carson, and so this chick went out and she got a national boards, which I think is every bit of just important as being a doctor.
That's big.
But yeah, I would always, I found myself throwing it up, not to really be spiteful, but, and I always thought I was using it as a source of motivation, but no, they just built different. So tread lightly, and just ask, hey, how can I come along, support alongside and support you? Every weekend I take the kids away for 3 to 4 hours, of constant time. That way you do whatever you feel like you need to do within that time frame, and just try to make it somewhat easier. But yeah, that's just be careful.
Yeah,
I don't want you to come out with a black eye anymore.
I'll take them away for 3 or 4 hours, and we're gonna go to the game.
You're right. Like,
we're gonna go to these swim meets on Tuesday nights. Where's mom? She's studying. She's studying.
Yeah.
If you ask one more time where your mom is, it's the 15th Tuesday we've done this. She is studying. No, I would say the biggest thing for me is the communication piece, but also the just expressing emotion. I talked to somebody last night who been a follower and has become a great friend on social media. And first time her and I connected yesterday, she FaceTimed me. She's like, "How the heck are you? What's going on? Tell me whatever." And I'm like, "I've talked to Matt. I've talked to my podcast and therapist." She's like, and she's very much, she's got that brain like Matt does and like my therapist does. And she's like, "So what did you learn?" I was not prepared to tell her what I had learned about myself over the last year, but I wish that I had the conversations and gone through some of the things before, because it's about just expressing what it is that I feel. That has been my thing. I've always been like, let's fix everything else, and I'm going to hold on to my feelings. I think that's men in general.
Yep.
And then I was like, well, I'll just. She's like, well, how did you feel when you did that? You started doing, like, look, if I don't want to do that, I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to tell you. She's like, why didn't you do it before? I'm like, well, I didn't want to hurt their feelings. And she's like, but what about yours? And I'm like, I get that, and I'm past that right now. And she's like, how did it feel the first time you did that? Like, basically, like somebody asked you to do something small. Somebody asked you to do something, you didn't want to do it. So you're like, nah, I don't really want to do that. She's like, how did it feel? I'm like, well, it felt really good, but it took a little bit. And she's like, and now? I'm like, oh, now I'm like, shoot, I ain't doing that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. And I said, I wish that I had, with my kids, with, their mom, with my family, like anybody relationships before, I wish I was able to just do that a lot longer ago than caring about everybody else's feelings, because mine matter too. Ours matter too. And we can express that in a healthy way instead of just taking it as men do. I wish I would have done that before, just being upfront, open, honest about the conversations instead of just reeling it back and going, nah, it's fine. That's going to piss them off, or that's going to hurt the relationship, or that's going to do this. It's like, no, this is how I feel. I can do it in a respectful way, a nice way, a professional way, whatever. We can have that conversation. Everybody else does it. Why can't I? That's what I wish I would have done previous to, my kids were younger, teenage years, college, any of those things.
Yeah. Stephanie just said boundaries are amazing. Well, I was bad about that. I didn't have my own boundaries. I was always the peacemaker. I was always wanted things to be right, and avoid the conflict. And so I would do that to the detriment of my own self, a lot of times. And what I didn't realize is that Tisha just wanted boundaries too. I mean, she just wanted me to say what I thought, and not always try to do what I thought was going to make the peace, And once I learned that, it just helped us out tremendously.
Well, kids need it too. And I think that's part of the thing with, we talked about it before, helicopter parents or parents that just kind of give their kids and go. Like, kids want those boundaries too. They may not like it, but they're going to like, okay, I got to be home by this time, or I got to put my phone here. Kids need it too. And they want it. The parents that just don't do that, you're not helping the kids. We know you're not helping the kids. The kids know that. But I think it also goes back to what I just said. You don't want to hurt your kids' feelings. You want to be their friend, or you want to be the good parent, or you want to make sure there's no friction. But the kids need that too. Like, hey, put your phone up, or no, you're not going there, or no, you're going to pay for that yourself, or whatever that may be. They need that, and they want that, and it's only going to help them.
Yeah, 100%.
That's real talk.
Yeah.
For me, if I could go back, I think I would talk about emotions. I think a lot of time, being raised in the community, we come with this belief that we just need to push through. We need to power through. And life is grand. Like your first 21 years, right? Like very rarely do you hear the word no. And I'm talking about like on a more professional level, or when you start to go for different things. Kids just don't know how to handle adversity. And so like I didn't spend a lot of time talking about that, because I was just like, hey, suck it up, buttercup, power through. You know what I'm saying? Next play. Let's get it. And these emotions are real. Like, what you see on Instagram is like their reality. Hell, our reality.
Right.
And so we got to put all that in perspective, and we got to start checking that at the door and making sure that we have different coping strategies. Like when someone tell you that you're not good enough, or someone tell you that they don't want you anymore. Like, how do you handle that? Like, do you self-medicate? Do you go get a good book, curl up in a corner? Do you get quiet and just don't say anything? Like, you have to give them a smorgasbord, or that's where I dropped the ball. I don't feel like I prepared my kids well enough with a smorgasbord of different strategies, how to cope and how to get through, not only physically but just mentally. That mental game has got to be strong,
Yeah.
and I think we have to spend more time helping our kids build that. The other thing is money. Rodney Faulkner, I'll never forget. We were leaving set one day,
Yeah.
and he told me, one of the smartest cats I know as far as a business mind. He was like, "Look, dude, if you want to make it in this world, your first 10 years, you got to be willing to sacrifice and not do everything. Like you can't do everything the world has to offer you, so that you can spend the next 25 years of your life living like no one else."
Yep.
And that has stuck with me so much. And
Sound
like,
like Dave Ramsey.
Dave Ramsey. I was about to say that's Dave
yeah,
Ramsey.
yeah.
Live like no one else.
Rodney
So you
Live
Rodney
live
like
like
Faulkner,
no
the
no
one
one
Black
else.
else,
Dave
so one
Ramsey.
day you can live like no one else.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that is so true, man. Like save, like compound interest is real. Like
Yeah.
explain that shit and like just have them like put up $2 a week, whatever it is, something. It don't matter how much it is, just put up something. And then the third thing that I would say that I wish I had done a better job, and one that I'm a little bit more focused on, is just love their mom. Like I think our kids, guys or girls, get so much from us just loving their mother, like the woman who brought you into this world. Regardless of what type of mood she's having or whatever, you still just show her love and show her like the queen she is. And if for nothing else but for bringing you into this world, right?
That's good.
So
That's good.
yeah, like that's those are the three areas I wish I could have spent a little bit more time if I had that red magic button sitting on my desk.
And for next week's podcast, we're gonna talk about well, what if you want to love somebody else's mother? That's what got you
No
in trouble.
go.
Come on.
Yeah.
I want to love
Hey,
somebody else's mother.
yeah.
Say
Hey,
What's your name?
what?
Who's your mommy?
and listen,
I'm
listen.
bringing you a new mommy home this week, boo.
Yeah.
Her name
Hey,
Keisha.
we talked about us and our dad, us as dads in the
Yeah.
transition. But don't forget, your kids are going through transitions too, right? And that's what your son's getting ready to do right now, Eric. And so, you're transitioning, they're transitioning. Learn how to help them through those transitions, but let them transition.
Let them.
Let them transition. I will say that. I'll beat that into everybody's head. Let that, and that goes back to what you're saying, Devo. Is we don't let our kids fall down and scrape their knees. We don't let them transition. We want to do everything for them. We want to protect, protect, protect. And we have laid the foundation and the stage nowadays to where they can't make a damn decision on their own.
They can't.
They can't.
Man, look, man, I'm
Oh.
laughing. Y'all read my mail every time we come on these things. I come on these things because just today, dude, we would get ready to leave. So I had to have Ethan looking good, and so he had his button up, his khakis, he had his jacket on, whatnot. But the boy has lost 3 jackets in school this year. So I was like, I'll be damned if you lose another jacket on the last day of school. So you go ahead and give me that button. Go ahead and give me that jacket now. We're gonna take that home.
Did you make him pay for the first one?
I sure did. I sure did.
No, that's all right though. That's all right.
Absolutely.
But his teacher
He
texted
walk
me
in his
today.
room, he in there cracking the piggy bank account. There's $1, there's $2.
His teacher texted me today and said she found the last one he lost. So we're gonna get that back tomorrow. But anyway, I made him take that jacket off, give it to his mother. We're standing over there, Matt. I'm telling you, this is so funny. You're gonna appreciate this for what you just said. Let him fail. But I said, hey man, you got to change your clothes in your book bag. I need to make sure this button up and these khakis get home, and them shoes, they better get home. I don't need that. I said, take the shoes off first. You take the pants. When you take them off, you fold them, flip them, and then put them in. You take your jacket. This dude, when he
You
got
give him
home,
a checklist of how to put his clothes in the book bag.
I sure did. When he got home,
Like, bro, just put him in the bag.
I was like checking it like I was looking for drugs. I said, where are the shoes? Pull the shoes out. I said, dude, I see the shirt. Where's your pants? He said, man, I just stuffed them in the front pocket. I zipped it up. And I was sitting there, Matt, like, let him fail, let him fail because the objective is bring your clothes home.
Did he get them all home?
Just get them home. Let him have them all wrinkled and stuff. We're gonna get it right. But man, this has been crazy, wicked, phenomenal for me because again, I know when we talk about our kids, I'm the caboose of the group because of the age difference. But I learned so much little wisdom nuggets, and I feel like they're going to transition well. But it's good to hear in a assembly of men that it doesn't have to be the same. The way to get them there to the finish line, their finish lines are going to be different. But the fact that we all can come together and talk about how we did and the nuggets that we leave, I'm going to be wrestling with the let them fail and let them do, and not from a helicopter standpoint, but just from a man. I wish I had that thing when I was growing up. And
Well,
now
they're not built like we are.
But you failed.
You
How
failed.
many times have you failed?
A lot.
And look at you.
A
You're
lot.
sitting right here. We're all sitting right here. We all did our
Doctor.
fight. And we all failed.
Doctor.
Doctor.
Hey,
you
that's Devo's fault.
I'm still glad we can see the whole bookshelf. We can see the whole
They like-
bookshelf now.
They're like, shit, Devo can do it. Anybody can do that. Like,
That's just one of them. That's the other one.
Look at it. I mean, we got half man, half amazing now. We can see the back of that thing
Yeah.
there.
That's crazy. I know you're getting ready to log off, but
Hold on.
Yes,
Oh, you went sideways on the comms.
I'm not that.
You know, you sound like Darth Vader.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, T-Pain.
a good Darth Vader.
Yeah, you sound like Darth Vader.
You got the auto-tune going on.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah, fix that.
Yeah.
I
Talk
can
about
put
my
you in a
microphone
mansion
again, will you?
wearing Wisconsin.
Now we hear you. Wah 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 wah.
Now go ahead and take us out, somebody. Devo,
Hey,
take
jump
us
on your
out.
phone.
Devo, take
Hey,
us out.
take us out, Devo.
Hey, this has been another great moment. I'm a cover for my horse brother down there in the bottom quadrant. All we say is get together, align yourselves, and let's just get better. 1% rule. Every day we just gonna try to get a little bit better.
Baby.
Come together. All right, we'll holler at you till next week.
Next week.
Peace.
Let's go.
See ya, Eric.